I won't repeat what colleagues have said. The one thing I will say, though, is that the Mayor constantly says that the safety of Londoners is his number one priority. Well, I think any one of you would agree that if something is your number one priority, you fund it properly. And the Metropolitan Police is not being funded properly. And whilst we certainly have rogue members that are actually police officers, I should say to you that there's around 45,000 people that work for the Metropolitan Police, and 99% of them are damn good, hard-working officers, and we should be grateful for them. But they need more assistance, they need more resource, and we have just gone through a budget round which will leave the Metropolitan Police losing more officers. And we can't afford to lose more officers. Somebody online is talking about neighbourhood policing. Yes, they're short of officers. We need more officers out there. And somebody said that crime is better under Sadiq Khan. Let me just tell you that gun crime is up 34%, knife crime is up 4.4%, business robbery is up 74.5%. We have got to give the police more resource to make us all safer, because I'm sure being safe is number one on most of your agendas. And with the Mayor, until he starts looking at what the police need and starts funding them properly, I'm afraid we will continue to have problems.
Moving on to Assembly Member Wilson.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for all your questions and the question online. Crime matters to everybody in London. It's something that we see on our streets day in, day out, and it matters to everyone. It terrifies me. And it should matter to young people in particular, because you need to feel safe. Everyone needs to feel safe. And that simply isn't happening at the moment. Assemblymember Hall has reeled off some stats, and I can do the same. I can talk about the 2% of burglaries in outer London result in a court summons or a charge, or the 50% increase in knife crime since the pandemic. In fact, there's a phone stolen every 5 minutes on London streets, a rape reported every hour, and in fact, the stop and search has halved in the last 3 years. Now, it's not universally popular, I know that, but it is a tool, a technique that works. Only today, this afternoon, I had a message about a machete being taken off the streets through a stop and search operation on Kilburn High Road. So it works, and it needs to be used as a tool that can help get these weapons off our streets. But I think most of us on the panel would say that we believe keeping Londoners safe and preventing crime is our number one priority. But there's only one person on this panel who's actually got the power to do that, to put his money where his mouth is. And whilst the 1.16 billion that he's talked about is hugely welcome, I don't denigrate that at all. However, what he won't tell you is that his budget that we've just approved, or the Assembly has approved last week, is actually spending more on net zero, 1.4 billion on net zero, £250 million more on that. So if you want to know what someone's main priority is, you follow the money.
What I will say, Assemblymember Wilson, is what you've managed to do in all of that is not answer a single one of those questions correctly.
What do we need to... What do we need to do to restore neighbourhood policing? We need to fund it properly. We need to stop wasting money on things that are virtue signalling.
Do not talk over me. Thank you very much. The audience here and those online are here to answer questions. If you want to give speeches, this is not the place to do it. These people have turned up here on a Thursday night to ask you questions which they deserve to have answered. If you want to be able to do speeches, you can record a video and pop that up online. It's not to be done here. I'd like to move on to Assemblymember Duval.
Thank you very much. Look, I just think we need to correct the impression. So the government has put more money in to this budget, this current budget, than has gone in the last 14 years. That's evidence, not me, not a political opinion, evidence. The Mayor consistently, year on year, has supported the policing budget against the cuts in the previous 14 years. He's put his money where his mouth is. The mentoring scheme that was talked earlier on and the benefits of it is important. If we can take young people away from the life of crime and going down that path, then actually it's money well spent. Prevention has to be an answer. Keep them out of the system of criminality. It makes sense, and we need to spend money on that. On Vogue, The real challenge for us on Volk is consistency. If you go into any police station with a crime and you're a woman or a young girl, that you're taken seriously, treated with respect, and follow the good best practice that's there. We really are working hard along with the professionals. And Susan, one thing I can agree with my Conservative colleagues, there are lots of good policing officers and staff trying to make a difference in protecting our communities. And the Volk issue is one where we're working with victims as well as interest groups to develop a better service. The Metropolitan Police knows it needs to change if it's going to deliver effective policing. That's the other strand that the Mayor is trying to promote. We saw that with the Casey review and other reports. And then finally about neighbourhood policing. Look, I was privileged to introduce neighbourhood policing back in 2004 under a previous mayor. We did that. What's happened since 2008, we've had stop and start about neighbourhood policing. We've got stability here where we can deliver. And for all those things about making sure that it works and delivers in your local communities, we know it's not perfect. We know across London there are still some gaps. We're working hard to fill those gaps. One of the issues is we need to get police officers out of the office to do what they were trained to do. Police officers in our community. The cuts have forced them back into the offices. We need to make sure that we replace some of those issues. And finally, it's not easy. The police alone cannot solve our crime problems in the capital. They're the number one agency to do it. They can work in partnership with local government that are facing their problems, but they also need the community on their side.
Okay.
We can do without some of the mixed messages about tackling crime. We know we need to take bad people off our streets. We know there are people that are into criminality that shouldn't be there.
This year's London Climate Action Week will be the biggest and best ever. My Deputy Mayor for Environment, Mette Coburn, has gone around London to get ideas to make sure that underserved communities, what in the olden days were called hard-to-reach communities, are involved in London Climate Action Week. And you'll be aware that those least responsible for climate change and bad air suffer the worst consequences in this issue. So we've got a big, exciting programme. If you go to the City Hall website, probably next month you'll see some of the plans for June. Get in touch on Talk London about any other plans you've got. We're keen to have community activities across London during that week, and it's going to be a great week and the best ever. To the gentleman who asked about runway 3, can I just remind colleagues why I think runway 3 is a bad idea? Look, when you look at where Heathrow Airport is, it's the biggest conurbation in Europe. More people are affected by noise from 2 runways than all the people affected by Paris, Charles de Gaulle, Frankfurt, Madrid, Munich and Amsterdam. The air quality there is one of the worst in Europe, the worst in London. But also, the Independent Climate Change Committee said any expansion of aviation must abide by the climate change obligations. Add to that, a new runway would have to be built across the busiest motorway in the country. The M25 would have to go under a tunnel. A4 is going to be rerouted. More investment in Southern Rail, Elizabeth Line, Piccadilly Line. This is not the right option. And so I oppose runway 3. In the past, sir, I worked with councils like the one Gareth leads across London, cross-party and communities, and we took the previous plans to court. And if Heathrow come up with plans that don't address our concerns, I'm afraid we'll have to use similar methods to stop the runway happening. It's not the right solution to the challenges we face. To the question online, Charlene, about what more are we doing around wildlife, this is a really important question. Look, over the last 400 years, we've de-wilded our city. And we want to, from City Hall, rewild our city. So the great news is we're bringing back bees and bats and beavers. The first 2 we named Justin Beaver, and the second one, Sigourney. And they've had kids. Sigourney and Justin have had kids. We're also cleaning up the river, really important for wildlife. Better air leads to better wildlife, and I'm really pleased that we've planted more than 570,000 trees, really important for wildlife. And this, for me, Charlotte, is an issue of social justice. Many Londoners don't have access to the countryside, to overseas holidays. We want to bring nature and wildlife to them.